What's going on, everybody? It is your boy Zamboni. I'm a musician and astrologer, and it is time to talk about the astrology of the week ahead. As always, I thank you so very much for being here. I appreciate y'all. Look, I've been doing this like 8 years, something like that, and it's real cool to see that y'all are still hanging with me. So thank y'all for being here. If you want to go check out zambonifunk.com, get a reading for yourself, then that would be delightful. Or you can go listen to the music or whatever it is that you like to do. This week we got, it's not so bad this week, like we got Mercury and Venus both are going to station direct. Now, the Venus station is it's next Sunday. So maybe that's actually next week rather than this week. But Mercury stations direct today, and so we've been in deep retrograde season all year. All of 2025 so far has been like one retrograde after the next. We had this Mars retrograde. Mars is still in the shadow of that retrograde period. I'm thinking actually about doing a live a little bit later and talking about like doing a little Mars retrograde retrospective. So I don't know. Maybe we'll see about that. Maybe that's gonna happen before this even comes out. I don't know. We'll see. I'm thinking about switching up the format a little bit, but so we've been in this like deep retrograde season this whole time, and it's been deeply sensitive, and it's been real tough to have, relationships that are effective and functional. Communication has been really difficult for quite some time. And, if we're being real about this, Mercury is stationing direct in Pisces, in the sign of Mercury's fall. So already Mercury is like having a tough time being in Pisces in the first place. Also basically stationary, and we'll see some forward motion, but like super slow. So this is difficult for Mercury, difficult to do the communication things. Also, not for nothing, conjunct Saturn. Mercury Saturn often looks like an obstacle to the communication. It's like trying to talk when you've got something in your mouth. So there is plenty of difficulty still when it comes to the Mercury things, but at least we are at a point now where things are going to be starting to move forward in some kind of way, rather than consistently looking backwards and having to reimagine and reevaluate and ignite in some kind of way. Like it's interesting to note that it's not all of this is happening conjunct Saturn and Venus. Actually, we're going to see a Venus conjunction to Saturn as well at the same time. Venus is still moving backwards for most of the week and is going to hit that conjunction to Saturn, and so like all of that is happening here, and so big Saturn stuff is going on. Thinking about Saturn in Pisces, thinking about like the deep, dark, heavy stuff that, like monsters in the bottom of the ocean and stuff like that. Maybe those are real. Saturn is very good for like making things real or tangible in some kind of way, giving it body in some sort of way. Saturn is the limitation. And so, like where imagination meets the cold, hard reality of being in a body, that's the sort of stuff that we're going to be seeing here with that Saturn. And so Venus, still retrograde for most of the week, is going to hit that conjunction, and maybe it is time to reevaluate some of the dreams and imaginal stuff, because it needs to be able to interface with the real world at the same time, right? And so Mercury stationing direct, and Venus a little later stationing direct and hanging out with that Saturn and whatever. Both of them are, or all three of them really, are making a trine to Mars in Cancer as well. And so Mars is still moving forward here. We got this Mars moving forward, getting ready to still got Mars in the shadow, but moving forward and like trying to make some things happen here. And so all of this looks very deeply emotional, and it looks like, insofar as the retrospective has included a reevaluation of, or a reorientation around relationships, and that looks like some kind of difficulty trial, separation, like challenge in the relationship stuff. This does look like there's a certain amount of grief that might want to come up in a big way here. Saturn is the goat god of death also, and so to see such strong Saturn influence here, and Mercury retrograde, that's our chthonic Mercury. That's the one that goes down underneath the earth and goes to the underworld and all this. And so even though Mercury is stationing direct here, still there is this sense, and Venus retrograde, very much associated with the underworld journey. So insofar as there is some kind of death that requires the reevaluation, then we're likely to feel some of that grief and difficulty, and that making a trine to Mars in Cancer definitely looks like there is some kind of big feeling, heart sensitive, emotional stuff that wants to come up here. And to see a trine, so a trine is a supportive and beneficial aspect. So this is water on water, so it looks a little bit like, like listening to sad songs when you're already sad in order to feel the thing more, I think Reductress had a headline the other day that was something about I got to go back and listen to the sad song again, and try to cry another time, that kind of vibe might be going on here, or washing the car in the rain, that kind of vibe here. But there is something about it, to see that benefit, that trine, that support, looks like engaging with that in some sort of way is probably going to be helpful. It's a good look. Sometimes you got to feel the feelings. Sometimes, it's the no way out but through kind of situation here, right? And there's no rushing the stages of grief, right? You just go through it at the pace that you go through it, and it's not linear, it happens the way that it happens. And so we might be engaging with some of that this week. At the same time, we can notice that the sun is starting to look pretty good. The sun is pretty far away from the nodes at this point. The nodes are also there in Pisces and Virgo, and so that's going to lend a lot of emphasis to the Pisces stuff. But when it comes time to do sun things, solar things, when it's time to handle some business and get out in front of the people and be all right, we've made some decisions, it's time to hit it, it's time to get ready and do some stuff. That stuff looks pretty good. So the sun, the sun in Aries is exalted. This is our last easy sun in Aries for a little while. We're going to see it's going to be Sun-Saturn conjunctions in Aries for the next 3 years or something like this. And so I do like to see the sun in this kind of condition looking pretty strong. Now, of course, that sun in Aries, who's that ruled by? Mars in Cancer. So that's going to take us right back to the same situation here. And are we going to see the sun square to Mars this week? We might see that. If not, then we're at least going to, no. That's going to happen. That exact aspect is going to happen in Taurus and Leo. So, and that'll be a whole, listen, we'll come back to that. We're a few weeks out from that. But, we're getting close to that square there. So there is a little bit of tension, but that tension, I wonder if that might motivate some doing. And in fact, if we're looking at big Pisces things going on here, then it might be a good time to feeling that conflict and feeling the sort of shifting tides here. Might be a good time to get yourself into a place where you are ready to do some creative work of some sort, something, thinking cathartically with, melody and song is one of the things that I always come back to. Of course I do. I make music and stuff, and you should go check the music out on Spotify, Tidal, Pandora, Apple Music, wherever you'd like to get your music at. There's a bunch on YouTube as well. I always come back to that when it's Mercury in a water sign, especially Mercury in Pisces. My favorite example is I always come back to Maya Angelou, who's the baddest poet who ever lived, and this kind of thing, right? Not speaking directly, but sort of hitting the thing in a way that you can really feel it because it is in a verse or song or melody or something like that. That sort of thing looks like it wants to go really hard this week. So where you can, make space to be creative and do your damn thing. Appreciate you.